from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:02. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and we are broadcasting live from Westfield Technical Academy, Studio 120. I'm here with Pete Coles, chairman of the board, behind the boards and behind the glass. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I don't know. This weather's got me weirded out. It's like warm again.
It is. It's warm. It is. It's already 71 degrees. It's going up into the high 80s today.
Yes.
And kind of humid. So summer is back, at least for a day.
You know what, though? This is the exact same weather we had on September 11th, 2001.
Is it real? You know what?
I remember it exactly how the weather was.
Was it that warm? Because I remembered
it. It was 90 degrees the next day in New York City.
Really?
Yes, because I was down there.
You know, I remember it as being cloudless. I do remember that. I remember that it was really a blue sky, sunny, really nice day.
Extremely warm.
But I didn't remember the warmth.
Yep, very, very warm.
You know, I was thinking, Pete, because of course today is September 11th, and it was 18 years ago today that we had, the terrorist attacks. And I was thinking about it this morning, Pete, and I think we'll probably all be talking about this, like, do you remember where you were when Kennedy was shot?
Yep.
And I feel like
too young. I'm too young
you're
for that.
too young for that one, but I think this is the same type thing. Do you remember where you were, what you were doing when the towers went down, when when everything started unraveling, really? So now were you were in New York City the next day? Is that
I was in New York City that day later on in the day. I was originally scheduled to go to a training class for my dispatching.
Oh.
Mandatory.
Okay.
And that got canceled.
All right.
Because everybody was scrambling at that point. And then it was my 2 days off, so one of my friends said, I need you to run a satellite truck in Jersey City in Liberty State Park.
Okay.
So getting there was an interesting proposition.
Oh, yes.
Because he told me the only bridge open over the Hudson at that point was the Tappan Zee.
Yeah, okay.
And it took me over 6 hours to get there with traffic and everything. And
Yes.
at that time, I didn't even have a cell phone.
Yes.
And so I made it to Liberty State Park. He gave me a briefing on who I was working for and the satellite truck. And then he took my keys, drove back to the shop, and drove a truck to the Pentagon.
Wow. That's amazing. Who were you working for at the time, Pete?
It was the company itself was Flight 9 Satellite Services.
Okay.
And we were contracted out to CBS. And CBS had, as soon as it happened, every network just started booking trucks and putting them places.
Okay.
The money was no object. They were just booking things. And
wow.
He said, you're up on a satellite and, just wait for further instructions. If you don't hear from anybody by midnight, call and check in and they'll tell you where to go. At midnight, I was trying to get my way to 10 blocks from Ground Zero at St. Vincent's Hospital.
Yep.
And it took me all night to drive all the way up the Hudson and then all the way back down the Hudson and then wait to try to get into Manhattan.
Yes.
Because I was a non-flag truck. I was a private truck.
Right,
and
right.
I wasn't a news vehicle, and it took a lot of phone calls to get me into Manhattan.
Yep.
And it was just crazy. It was just crazy.
So
Guys,
once
guns
you
telling
actually,
park
so
there
did you eventually get into Manhattan?
Yes.
And then what happened then?
I drove to a compound they had about a half a block from St. Vincent's.
Okay.
And the union guys were saying, we're the staging area for us is down there by the emergency room, and the guys with the guns saying you can't leave your truck. And I said, well, guys, if you want a satellite, union guys wouldn't run the cables because that's not what they do.
Right.
And I said, here's the deal, guys. Those guys with automatic weapons are telling me I can't leave the truck. So if you want a live shot, you need to run cables. There are the reels. And they went, they thought about it for a minute. They huddled, and they were like, okay, we're going to do what we got to do.
Okay.
But I was with my truck, staying with my truck, and then the crew was going to ground zero, and the guys with the guns saying, lock up your truck and stay with your crew because you're non-credentialed and they are. So I was down at ground zero for about 40 minutes with a police escort, and I'll never remember the sounds and the sights and the smells and all that kind of stuff. And then I came back to my truck, and I was there till like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I went to a hotel, and then they wouldn't let me back in the next day, so I ran a couple more errands, and then I came back.
And then headed home. So where did you actually stay? That I can't even imagine there were any hotel rooms. I mean, where did you?
They
stay?
had found a hotel for me.
Really?
And I was kind of hot bunking with the guy who replaced me the next morning.
Okay.
I was supposed to help him, but because, again, I didn't have credentials for New York City,
Yes.
I couldn't get back in. They wouldn't let me back into the truck, and
Yes.
finally said, don't worry about it. And I ran some errands.
Yep.
They sent a car for me, and I ran some errands to bring stuff back to places. But
Wow.
one guy was working, one of the operators that worked for Flight 9 was working with, doing like a satellite media tour at Rockefeller Center.
Okay.
And it was a firefighter was working with him, and he actually brought that firefighter to his death. Like, he actually
Wow.
drove him to, he said,
Yeah.
I need to go to the towers. He cleared it with his boss, drove him there, and the guy didn't make it. So, I mean,
Wow.
that guy was messed up for years, still probably messed up from that.
Yeah.
You bring a guy to his peril.
Right. Well, and I think that's. I mean, I think that there's probably hundreds of stories like that we that we just don't know about.
Yep.
I mean, probably thousands of stories. There were 3,000 dead, but so many other stories. People.
That guy, though,
scarred for life.
was the ABC. He was the closest in. He was like 4 blocks from. He ditched the truck as far as he could go.
Yep.
And when ABC, the guy was there when the towers fell, you see him being covered with dust and stuff. That's that truck, and he was right there.
Yeah.
He witnessed them fall
Yeah.
firsthand. So
Yeah.
it's like, I
Yes.
I met the guy that if any of you saw a video, but he was outside shooting the tower coming down, and some federal agents pulled him in outside the doorway, and his camera was still running and shows him running through the halls to get to a safe spot in the building. That guy came into my truck about 11 o'clock to ask if he could watch his tapes,
Yes.
to kind of log him a little bit, and he
Yes.
was coming to the realization that he would have been dead had
Yes.
those guys not pulled him in.
Yes. Yeah.
And
And
he
then,
was falling apart in my truck, and I'm like talking to the guy going, there's a
Yeah.
reason for everything.
Yep.
There's a reason you're still here.
exactly. Wow.
Yeah, so it was an interesting day.
Tough stuff, Pete. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep.
Well, I know Gary went down there, our resident chiropractor, Dr. Gary Gorman. He was down there after the holidays. So I think in between that Christmas and New Year's week, because the, I don't know whether it was the New York Chiropractic Society had set up, just tables for the
Yep.
the first responders, and they just manned those, kind of, I think,
Oh, yeah.
24/7 for several months. And so they were just asking, I mean, there were chiropractors literally coming in, I think, from around the country, but certainly from the Northeast. And they were just, doing shifts. So Gary went down in between, during his holiday vacation, quote, vacation shift, and just said it was just amazing. And the guys were so responsive, and the women. I mean,
Westfield
the
Police
first were
had
so-
sent down a contingent when they were
Yeah.
asking for all hands, like
Yeah.
not right away, but in the first week afterwards.
Right.
And I know Westfield Fire, some of their guys, some of the rescue guys went down there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, it was all hands on deck.
It was all hands on deck. Just a
Yep.
tough time in history.
Yep.
And I know there will be some, obviously some ceremonies around the city, and both in Westfield and Southwick
I think
today.
the fire departments is at 9:46. Unfortunately, I'll be on the air here.
Yep.
And then tonight, there's also a wreath laying, and I'm not sure what time that is.
I don't
at the
know.
monument up on right across from the Westwood.
Okay.
That's
okay.
early,
okay.
I think, with
okay.
the mayor.
Okay.
And then I know tonight, I believe at 6:00, the Sons of Erin has a memorial service outside of their monument, outside of their pavilion.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go over to that one.
See if you can get to that one. So
I'd like to cover them all, but I'm gonna be here. So
I know. It's one of those things where you can only be in one place at one time.
Exactly.
Even though
Yep.
people think that we need to be in more than one place at one time sometimes.
Exactly. Yep.
So today, September 11th, is Patriot Day, not Patriots Day, but Patriot Day. And it honors the memory of the nearly 3,000 people who were killed in the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. Each year in the United States, the day is dedicated to remembering those who died, as well as those who risked their own lives to save others. So this is really a day sort of to reflect and maybe, if you can, attend some Patriot Day ceremonies. And Pete, you were mentioning the 8:46 time. So I have the different times during the day.
Oh, I know. I witnessed them.
Yeah, and so I just thought I would go over those with our listeners, just kind of read those aloud, because it is interesting, especially for those, who can remember this. 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 collides into the World Trade Center. 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 collides into the World Trade Center South Tower.
That's the one I saw live on television.
Yeah.
Because my friend had called me
yeah.
and said a plane just hit the World Trade Center. I was sleeping.
Right.
My class wasn't until like 10 or something. My
Yeah.
class wasn't until the afternoon.
I was actually teaching at Springfield College, so when I got there a little early. I should have gotten there at 9, and I got there at about 4:15, and I walked in the door, and one of the other I didn't have a class until I think 10:30. So one of the other professors said, oh my God, come on into the resource room. We have the TV on. There was a plane that just crashed, and so that was about 10 of 9 when I actually got in there. So yeah, we saw the second one as well because we were, sort of glued to the TV. So that was at 9:03. Then 9:37, American Airlines Flight 77 crashes into the Pentagon. 9:59 a.m., so it was just before 10, the World Trade Center South Tower collapses. 10:03, United Airlines Flight 93 crashes into Shanksville, Pennsylvania. 10:28 a.m., World Trade Center North Tower collapses. And so, so all of that happened, in the span of less than 2 hours, which was pretty amazing. And I was listening to, of course, the news is going to be full of this all day today, but I was listening to a piece on National Public Radio on my way in. And, one of the things they were saying, I do remember this, and you probably do too, Pete, is that because all of this happened so fast and it was happening in different areas,
Yep.
Washington, D.C. and Pennsylvania and so forth, people we were all really nervous about, well, what else is planned, and who's the next target?
Knew.
Yeah,
Nobody
knew. But I mean, for days, it was kind of one of those, you're sort of on the, living on the edge, sort of thinking, well, what else is planned that we don't know about? And is it going to be, L.A., Chicago? I mean, it could have been anywhere,
Yep.
So, and I had kind of forgotten about that. There was that really difficult time when when we just weren't sure what else was planned, what else was going on. So certainly today, reflect, take a few moments, and be thankful for living in the United States.
I'm thinking about. I was looking around last night and I found a really good WWOR in just outside of New York City.
Yes, I was going to say that's right outside of New York.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody archived the first 2 hours of coverage, and I have an hour gap between you and Chamber Chatter, and I'm thinking about running the first hour of that in between.
I think that's a great idea, Pete.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea. All right, well, believe it or not, September 11th, of course, we know that as Patriot Day, and that's what we remember, but actually some famous people were born on September 11th. And so the late, great Tom Landry, football coach, was born this day in 1924 in Mission, Texas. He died in the year 2000. Legendary football coach Tom Landry was the founding coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He brought the team from a winless first season into a dominating force in the National Football League. Over 29 seasons, Landry guided the Cowboys to 20 consecutive winning seasons, 19 NFL playoff appearances, 13 division titles, 5 Super Bowl appearances and 2 Super Bowl victories. His overall record was 271 wins, 180 losses, and 6 ties. Landry also helped restore the image of Dallas, dubbed the City of Hate after the 1963 assassination of President John F. Kennedy, into a city known for its winning All-American football team. The coach's strong work ethic and Christian belief fueled the success of his team and earned the Cowboys the nickname America's Team. Standing on the sidelines with folded arms and a stoic expression, Landry wore his signature fedora hat, sports coat, and tie to games. Those were the old days, Pete.
The
where
hat,
the coaches, and you know what? We have Gary. My husband Gary is a huge Cowboys fan, and always has been since he was a little kid. And we have this marvelous picture of Tom Landry down in our. We kind of have a pub down in our basement, and down there we have a picture of Tom Landry and Roger Staubach next to each other on the sidelines. And there is Landry with the jacket, the tie, the fedora. Just looking like a really spiffy coach.
Nowadays, it's the hoodie.
Yeah, now exactly. You got it. A bronze statue unveiled in October of 2001 captured this pose of Landry and is displayed outside the Dallas Cowboys home stadium in Texas. Landry remains a national icon of control and loyalty, and he was just a great guy.
Yep.
So happy birthday to the late, great Tom Landry. It's also the birthday of guitarist John Buckland. He was born September 11th, 1977 in London, England. He's 42 years old today. He's a musician and multi-instrumentalist. He's the lead guitarist and co-founder of the rock band Coldplay. Coldplay hits include Viva La Vida, Clocks, and A Sky Full of Stars. And with that, it is 6:17. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses. Pete, before we take break, I don't have the TV vision in here, but I'm assuming you're taping on channel 15. I mean,
okay.
I
just didn't turn it on.
Okay, that's fine. So I can't see it, but our listeners can, because otherwise we'll start getting phone calls.
I think the remote's on your desk.
Okay. Oh, okay. Very good. All right. So we're going to listen to John Buckland singing with Coldplay singing Viva La Vida. We'll be back.
When I gave the word, now in the morning I sleep alone. Sweep the streets I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes. Listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. One minute I held the key. Next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castle stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand. I hear Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, once you've gone it was never an honest word. And that was when I ruled the world. It was the wicked and wild wind, blew down the doors to let me in, shattered windows and the sound of drums. People couldn't believe what I'd become, and revolutionaries wait for my head on a silver plate, just a puppet on a lonely string. Oh, who would ever want to be king? I hear Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword and
Underwriting for WSKB's community radio programming is brought to you in part by R. Levesque Associates. They are offering landscape architecture, civil engineering, environmental permitting, and land surveying. RLA is a second-generation company devoted to excellence in the planning and design of outdoor spaces. On the web at rlaland.com or at 40 School Street in Westfield.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:22. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. It is 9/11, September 11th, 2019. It was 18 years ago today that the World Trade Center went down and the Pentagon was hit and things happened in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. So we are broadcasting live from Westfield Technical Academy, Studio 120.
Starting to come alive for the morning. I just saw the chef come in.
Yes, I know. I saw the same thing, and I saw one of the students in, and I'm thinking, wow, 6:20, and the students are already coming in. So that other voice that you hear is Pete Cole. So good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
We're trying to get our motors running today. We
Ugh.
had yeah. It's been, you know what, we do a lot at night, Pete, and I think it's hard to get up at, the wee
Sometimes,
hours in the
yeah,
morning. Sometimes,
yeah.
not every day, but we had a wonderful program at the Senior Center last night. We had Joan O'Brien, who is the assistant district attorney. It was supposed to be Anthony Gallooni, district attorney at the Senior Center, and he had kind of an emergency situation, which, as Joan explained, when you're the DA, crime
Sometimes
happens.
these things
And
happen.
yeah, exactly. And sometimes you're awakened at 3 a.m. So anyway, Joan came, and I did not realize that Joan is actually, the assistant district attorney is actually a Westfield native. Her maiden name was Banish. She's a Banish. So lots of the seniors knew that name. But she was there, and thanks to the Polish National Credit Union, who sponsored the event, they served a nice light supper of sandwiches and chips and coleslaw and cookies and water and it was really interesting. And my takeaway, because Joan had a lot of examples of, the focus was mostly on scams and fraud and things like that, particularly targeted against older adults. And I thought she had she gave two pieces of advice. And she said, if you do these two things, you will never be scammed or taken advantage of. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is going to be really profound. And it actually was. She said the two things are, one, don't do anything in haste, and two, don't do anything alone. So if you get a phone call or somebody knocks at your door and somebody's either, saying, oh, your computer's been hacked or your bank accounts have been hacked, and we need to get information. She said, if you simply say, I got to think about this for a while, and then call somebody, doesn't necessarily have to be the police, even if it's a friend or a family member, to say, hey, does this sound right to you?
Yep.
I got a phone call, or somebody came to my door, or, there was an encounter. Because she said 9 times out of 10, when you talk to somebody, they're going to say, wait a minute.
Right. Well,
right?
I just came across this with a student at Smith College over the weekend.
Okay.
They called me at about 10 o'clock at night, and they were worried because there was a warrant for their arrest.
Yep. There you go.
And it was an IRS.
Yep.
And it's a kid.
Yeah.
From money.
Yep.
And $6,000 of gift cards.
Yep.
And I said, you need to speak to an officer right now.
Absolutely.
And you also need to call your bank right now to see if you can cancel those pending charges, because
Right.
that's all fraud.
Right.
And she was panicked.
Well, and here's the
Panic.
other
She's a
thing.
kid.
Yep, she's a kid. And you know what? Yeah, I, of course, in my world, think of older adults as being prime targets, which they are.
Yep.
But they are not the only ones. Here's the most amazing statistic I thought that came out of the session last night. Joan said that 49% of phone calls calls are scammers.
Oh, yeah.
49. She said almost half of the phone calls you get.
Because they generate
Are from scammers.
They use a robocall system.
Yeah.
And if you connect and they hear a voice, now it connects back to somebody in the back.
Right. Then there's somebody just waiting for the voice. And as Joan said, too, think about it. She said, okay, the exact example you gave Pete,
Yeah.
the IRS, she said, do you honestly think the government would ever ask for gift cards?
Right.
Think about it.
Well, but she was a foreign national.
Yeah.
And in her country, the secret police call you and say,
Yes.
give it to us.
Yes,
And then
or
if
else.
they don't, then
Yeah.
they come and scoop you.
Sure. Yeah.
So
I
it's
mean,
a
they're
whole
just
different mindset culturally.
All kinds of things. So anyway,
Yep.
it was a great program. My thanks to the Polish National Credit Union and Martha Rickson and all the people over there that helped us out. Cynthia Hool, who's just awesome. Cynthia is actually here at the office in Westfield, the Polish National Credit Union office in Westfield. But they did a great job. And to Joan O'Brien and the DA's office, thanks so much for helping us to put it together. It was well attended, and the feedback from the seniors as they were leaving, just so positive and
sure it
very
was, yeah.
and very appreciative.
Timely,
so,
too.
Yeah, so it was great. But of course, made it a little tough to get up this morning after cleaning up after that. And also, I just want to do a shout out to my staff who helped last night. Mary Lou Najowski, who's my right hand person, our program director, Agnes Fleming, and Joanne Ortegas, who, Joanne is our outreach coordinator. She started last December, so she'll be coming up on her 1-year anniversary. And such a team player, and my whole staff, and Mary Kohut, who came to take notes. Mary's is our clerk, but also really sort of our information and referral specialist. And so I asked her to attend so she could take some notes, so that when she's answering the phone and people are asking her, what to do, just like you, Pete, as you were sort of guiding the student through, Mary can do the same thing. So, all right, September 11th, famous birthdays. Here we go. Other than John Buckland, who we just played from Coldplay, it is the late Bernie Dwyer. Bernie Dwyer was the drummer for Freddie and the Dreamers. He was born September 11th, 1940 in Manchester, England, and he died in 2002. Freddie and the Dreamers were a British pop group in the 1960s, fronted by Freddie Garrity, whose comical antics on stage were one of the band's trademarks. They made their first hit in their native land, but with their fame ebbing in the United Kingdom, the Dreamers then rode the wave of the British invasion in the United States, eventually re-releasing the song I'm Telling You Now, which topped the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1965. The group's performance consisted of Garrity frolicking and bouncing on the stage with flying limbs as he attempted to launch a dance craze called, of course, the Freddie. So happy! The video is hysterical. It is hysterical.
Oh, boy.
But the birthday is for Bernie Dwyer, who was the drummer of that group, and we will listen to that song. I'm telling you now, you'll all recognize it. It is also the birthday another older group. It's the birthday of Charles Patrick, who is the singer for the group The Monotones. He was born September 11th, 1938 in Newark, New Jersey. He's 81 years old today. The Monotones recorded one of the most memorable doo-wop novelty songs of the 1950s, Book of Love. The group consisted of 6 buddies living in the same housing project in Newark, New Jersey. They had sung in the same church choir as Dionne Warwick and Cissy Houston.
Well, hello.
Yeah, before forming their own group in 1955. I know that was pretty popular. In 1965, the Monotones appeared on Ted Mack's Amateur Hour and won first place. And I bet a lot of my older listeners remember Ted Mack's Amateur Hour. And you probably don't remember this commercial, Pete, but I do. Inspired by a radio commercial for toothpaste, you'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. Do you remember that? JPEG Luca would. But the jingle was kind of like, you'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. And the group members, the Monotones, wrote Book of Love, which was a similar melody to that commercial. While the Monotones were rehearsing the now famous intro, a baseball came crashing through the window from some kids playing outside. When the tape was played back, there it was, the boom, before Who Wrote the Book of Love. And when you listen to the song, there's kind of that boom, that pause, and that's where that came from.
Yep.
It fit. Everybody liked it, and so it was used in the form of a solitary bass drum. So you'll have to pass this, you have to pass all this trivia on to Buster McMahon.
Michael?
Yeah, exactly. So
Email it to me. I'll send it to him.
Okay. It is also the birthday of guitarist singer Dennis Tufano. He was born September 11th, 1946 in Chicago, Illinois. He is 73 years old. Dennis Stanley Joseph Tufano is the original lead singer of the 1960s rock group The Buckinghams and has been a solo performer since the early 1980s. Hits by The Buckinghams include Kind of a Drag, Don't You Care, Hey Baby, They're Playing Our Song, and Susan. All of those were hits, so you'd recognize all of those. And we will be playing one of those today.
Okay.
And finally, nope, not finally, I have two more. It is the birthday of, this is my final singer though. It is the birthday of Harry Connick Jr., singer-songwriter, born September 11th, 1967 in New Orleans. He's 52. Harry Connick Jr.'s parents owned a record store and encouraged their son's interest in music, piano at the age of 3, mind you, with a New Orleans jazz band at the age of 10. So Harry Connick Jr. was already playing with a jazz band when he was 10 years old.
Yeah.
He won piano competitions while playing French Quarter clubs and attending the New Orleans Center for the Creative Arts. At 19, he released his first album for Columbia Records. At 19, mind you. In 1989, he wrote the score and sang several songs for the soundtrack of Rob Reiner's When Harry Met Sally.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yep.
I knew he sang them, but I didn't know he had written them. So far, while bringing back swing and big band music, he has earned 1 gold, 4 platinum, and 3 multi-platinum albums, as well as 2 Grammys. His films include Memphis Belle, Copycat, and Independence Day, which was done in 1996. So happy birthday to Harry Connick Jr., who is now 52. And finally, I had to throw this one in, and I hope that Gary is listening. It is the birthday of Fief Sutton. He is a writer and producer. He was born September 11th, 1958 in Washington, D.C. He's 61 years old, and he is a graduate of James Madison University. And Gary and I both attended James Madison University, and Fief Sutton is very famous because he began his writing career, his writing scripts for the television show Newhart, but he later became the executive producer of and writer for the television show Cheers. So that is like JMU's, James Madison University's big claim to fame is Fief Sutton, who was the head writer and executive producer for the show Cheers. And then later he collaborated with Bob Newhart again on the 1992 TV series Bob, and he worked as a creative consultant on the 1990s TV series Almost Perfect and News Radio. And Fief is actually a nickname. His real name is Robert Christopher Sutton, and he was given the nickname Fief, which is spelled P-H-O-E-F. And he uses that both personally and professionally, and that was given to him in infancy by his brothers. I think it's Irish because it looks like it's the spelling looks like it's Irish. But anyway, happy 61st birthday to another JMU alum, Fief Sutton. It is, yeah, it is pretty cool. And that was so popular when we were younger in Cheers, and it was like, wow, because he graduated the year after Gary and I did, so he's right around our age, and this was quite a while ago. So he was doing quite well quite early in his career. It is 6:35. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses. So we are going to listen to Bernie Dwyer and Freddie and the Dreamers singing "I'm Telling You Now."
Do you think I'm fooling when I say I love you? I love you. Maybe you'll believe me when I'm finally through. I'm telling you now. I know it's been said before. Say you love me and I will be sure I'm in love with you now. I'm telling you now. I'm telling you right away. I'll be saying for many a day I'm in love with you now. Do you think I'm fooling when I say I love you? I love you. Maybe you'll believe me when I'm finally through. I'm telling you now. I know it's been said before. Say you love me and I will be sure I'm in love with you now. I'm in love with you now. I'm telling you now.
Underwriting is brought to you by Boise Cascade Distribution, providing products and services needed for building material dealers, home improvement centers, and industrial customers. They offer everything from engineered wood and plywood to Drex decking and railing, James Hardy siding, and Advantech subfloor. Located at 33 Fowler Street Extension in Westfield and on the web at bc.com, they are committed to providing quality products, great service, convenience, and value.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:38. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and we are broadcasting live from Westfield Technical Academy, Studio 120, and in studio with me this morning is Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So the sun is finally coming up. I mean,
Yes.
it is getting lighter out there because, I noticed this morning, Pete, it is pretty dark when we're traveling
Yeah,
over here
I
now.
noticed that too.
But at least today it was warm. I mean, it's really
It's
warm
very, very
out there.
warm out
Yeah,
there,
it's
yeah.
very warm out there. So just be prepared. It's going to be in the high 80s today and humid. But then tomorrow they're saying back into the 70s. So I think it's New England and it's September and you never really know what the weather's going to be. So I think it's supposed to be dry today, but a little warm. So a couple of things going on, some upcoming events at the Senior Center. Fall is here, September's here, and I feel like our calendar is getting really booked. I mean,
No kidding.
because typically we kind of keep things a little bit on the quieter side over the summer. We have staff taking vacation we need to cover for each other, so we don't plan a lot of big events over the summer. And so back in January, when Mary Lou and I planned the calendar for the year, we threw some bigger events in for September and October, but also, as the year progresses, people come to us, let's do this and let's do that. And so we've got a lot of stuff going on. And I thought September was pretty crazy, but October is going to be even more so.
Even more crazy?
Yeah, even more crazy. So let's start with next Thursday is our
Okay.
Cops for a Cause Chili Luncheon. So this is a partnership between the Council on Aging and the Westfield Police Department. It's a fundraiser to benefit our local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. So the event is Thursday, September 19th. We have exactly, as of last night, we have 10 tickets left. That's it. And, a lot of people really complain because we sell out so fast that I have people that say, well, I didn't even have a chance to get down there and you've already sold out for an event. So these tickets went on sale about a week and a half ago. Yeah, about a week and a half ago. So we still have some tickets left, not a lot. And I know
Right.
that we're going to sell out before next Thursday.
Yep.
So if you're one of those people who, kind of complains,
Don't be a
I don't get
procrastinator."
to participate in the fun events. events because they sell out. We still have some tickets left. So come on down, get your tickets. I would not wait because they will sell out.
Don't be a procrastinator.
Exactly. So the entertainment begins at 11:30. We have The Keepers. That's featuring Marion Dunk and Chip Arnold. They're a singing guitar duo. So they'll be doing the entertainment. And by the way, they will be doing this for free. They're not charging us for this because it is a benefit fundraiser. So thank you to them. Our menu will be Senior Safety Officer Mark Carbonneau's famous chili. And again, Mark has promised it will not be spicy. It will be tasty, but not spicy, because he knows that for some of the older adults, spicy wouldn't be good. And then our kitchen crew will be making the cornbread. And then our ice cream sundaes, which will certainly be one of the feature events of this, will be put together and assembled by some of our own police officers from the Westfield Police Department, including, I understand, Chief Valier, who's going to be actually, with an apron on and helping us with these sundaes. So we thank the Westfield Police Department for that.
That's
Tickets,
great.
yeah, it is. I think it's really going to be a fun event. We're really looking forward to it. And our goal is to raise $500 for our local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. So the tickets are $5, advance tickets only. So you have to get your tickets in advance. They are on sale now. I suggest you come on down to the Senior Center as soon as possible if you haven't gotten one and get your ticket. And speaking of tickets, tomorrow, the tickets will go on for this month's Lunch and Learn, and this is a great segue into my guest who will be coming on second hour with us. So on Thursday, September 26th, we're doing our monthly Lunch and Learn, and that means that we have lunch at noon, and then there's about a 15 or 20-minute presentation between the entree and dessert, and then we serve dessert. The tickets are $3. They go on sale tomorrow for this Thursday, September 26th event, and the topic is Westfield recycling. So what are we supposed to, and more importantly, what are we not supposed to put into Westfield's big recycling barrels? And we are going to have at this Lunch and Learn our own Joe Rouse, who is the Director of Public Health for the City of Westfield. So Joe is going to be doing this Lunch and Learn, and Joe is actually going to be our guest because it is the second Tuesday of the month, and each month Joe joins us and for the second hour. So he will be here after 7 o'clock.
Yep.
We're probably not going to talk much about recycling today, but Joe has 3 other topics, one of them being vaping, which is super important. And then there's some algae issue that he wants to talk about. And then the third one is the triple E that we're hearing so much about on television and the virus going around. So
The algae one is there's getting blooms of the blue-green algae, which was a huge problem down in Florida.
Yeah, so Joe's going to enlighten us because we don't know a lot about that here, some of us. So he'll be here second hour. But anyway, so Joe is going to be doing the Westfield Recycling Lunch and Learn. The menu, for those of you who want to know, will be George's Meatloaf, our own George Svakios' meatloaf, mashed potatoes, vegetable, and for dessert we're having apple crumble a la mode. So it should be delicious. The tickets are just our regular $3 lunch price, and we will sell tickets the day of if there are any left, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's meatloaf. It's a Lunch and Learn. There won't be any tickets left. So they go on sale tomorrow, so you can get your ticket starting tomorrow after 9 o'clock for this month's Lunch and Learn. Also, I have a meeting today at Stanley Park. So Run Stanley is coming up on October 6th, and we are forming a Stanley Stroll team. So part of this race, we had Vanessa Diana and Hillary McEwen on a few weeks ago talking about Run Stanley, but part of the race, it's a trail run, but we also have a stroll that we added last year. It's 1 mile. It's not in the woods or in the trails. It's right at the top of the park. It's all paved. It's very doable. It's doable if you're older. It's doable if you're pushing a baby stroller. It's doable if you just you don't want to run, you don't want to walk fast, you just want to kind of smell the roses along the way. So that will be on Sunday, October 6th at 11:15. You can sign up online for the Stanley Stroll, but we are also forming, kind of our senior center team, and I know we have some folks that have signed up for that. And so you can do that with Mary Lou Najolski. It's $15 $50 for seniors. And you can either pay cash, and we will get that over to Stanley Park, or a check, and the checks do need to be made out to Stanley Park, not to us. So help support our beautiful Stanley Park, and we're going to have a lot of fun. That's going to be a great time. We have a couple other things going on at the Senior Center this month. At the end of the month on Thursday, September 26th, we have a program called Hydration Continued, Making Smart Beverage Choices. We had a program, our last month's Lunch and Learn, our August Lunch and Learn was on dehydration and hydration and the importance of staying hydrated. So this is kind of a part 2 to that. And this has to do with what kinds of beverages are appropriate for staying hydrated, and how do you select those when you go to the grocery store, and how do you read some of those nutrition labels to make sure that you're making good, smart choices. So advanced registration is necessary for this because space is limited. So just give us a call or visit the greeter's desk. You can call the center at 562-6435. And Kristen Lucier, who's a SNAP education program coordinator, will be doing this 1-hour workshop. Again, it will be Thursday, September 26th from 9:30 to 10:30. Kristen has done a number of nutrition workshops for us. She's excellent. So I would highly recommend this, but you need to call us. You can just either call us, or if you're a regular at the Senior Center, just stop by the greeter's desk. And I know that list is starting to grow. So again, I don't want people to be disappointed. If you're interested in this, sign up right away so you get a spot. I just also want to remind folks that we do have local legislators that hold office hours at the Senior Center on a regular basis. Representative John Vilas and or his legislative aide, Kiara McNally, are at the Senior Center every Thursday from 11 to 12. And I noticed that recently John has had a number of people waiting for him when he comes in. He's usually right in the fireside lounge. However, if you have something that requires more privacy, we absolutely will find you a private space. And I know a couple weeks ago, Rep. Vilas asked me. He said, Tina, is there a room where we can go that's a bit more private? He had a couple in there that had some confidential information they wanted to talk to him about. So we can make that happen. Also, City Council President Ralph Figge is generally at the Senior Center on the third Thursday of the month at the same time, 11 to 12. However, this month, because next week is our Cops for a Cause luncheon, Ralph will be at the Senior Center tomorrow holding office hours. So as Ralph is the Ward 2 City Councilor, but he is the president of the council. So if you have issues, either Ward 2 issues, or if you have just issues, for the council in general as president, certainly come on over and have a chat with Ralph. I also want to remind folks, speaking of city council and legislative office hours, that September 24th is a preliminary election at the Senior Center. Pete, we had somebody who came last night to vote. She came in and she said, aren't they using the Senior Center as a polling place anymore? And I said, well, we are, and we will be in 2 weeks. But it was a little confusing because Springfield had their preliminary, and I think Greenfield did as well yesterday.
Correct, yes,
so
that was on the news, and they figured everybody has the same day.
Right,
and it's
exactly.
Only the general is really the same day.
Yeah, so ours is on September 24th. So we are the polling station for Ward 2 at the Senior Center. So because of that, we have to use the great room. So we won't have any lunch or coffee on that day. However, all of the other Senior Center activities will take place. So the games room, our fitness classes, the nurse will be there. So everything else will be going on, but no coffee and no lunch. So we can't do that.
Also on that topic, before you move on,
yes.
I know that Kenny has arranged, and all the candidates are in for mayor, not to do a debate, but to do more of a forum, kind of a town hall type of thing.
Okay.
Just the candidates, no audience, because we can't really accommodate that. But we're going to tape that here in Studio 120, and it will be up, and it'll be playing every day before the election. So
that's perfect.
Kind of a meet and greet type thing with the candidates.
That's perfect. I know that was something that we couldn't pull that together. I'm working
full forum, yeah.
Yeah, the full forum it's a lot of work. It's a lot of scheduling, and as Kate Phelan said, a lot of moving parts to that. And that's sort of a collaborative effort among the Westfield News and the council and the Senior Center as one of the host sites, and also the school department because Stefan Zaporowski, because we're also using the schools. So you have all of that. We have every ward now has there's a challenge in every ward. So that means we have to have forums for all 6 wards.
Yep.
and the at-large and the school committee and the mayor. So,
Right, so-
all of that is in the works. Everything has been scheduled other
the general,
than
yeah.
yes, for the general ones, other than the mayoral one. I think Hope is still working on that one. That'll be post preliminary, so those will be the final two candidates after the preliminary election on the 24th. So, but the other ones will all be in October. We'll be doing the ward ones. We will be hosting those at the senior center and the school committee one. And
I'll
then
be a little busy.
yeah, she'll be busy. And then I think the at-large will be held at, we're hoping Westville Technical Academy. I think she nailed that one down. And then the mayoral one will probably also be at one of the schools just because we expect those to be better attended. And
Correct,
just
yes.
need more seating. So we'll let them do that.
But we're putting that together for the preliminary, so
We are.
there will be a kind of a get-to-know
Perfect.
session.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you. Thanks to Kenny and you for doing that, Pete. And my final senior center announcement is that, and I know it sounds early, but we are doing flu shots. The health department, and Joe, we can also talk about this when Joe's here, but the health department will be doing flu shots. They do them pretty much annually at the senior center in early October. It's going to be October 1st and 2nd. And the only reason I want to mention it before we go to break is because the slots are already filling up. So if you would like to get a flu shot, it's free of charge. You just need to schedule an appointment with us at the senior center. I'll give you that number in a minute. And you need to bring your insurance card. That's all you need to do. So call the senior center at 562-6435. And we'll mention that again when Joe gets here. It is 6:52. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses. This song is in honor of the birthday of Harry Connick Jr. It is my favorite song from the movie When Harry Met Sally. It Had to Be You.
To be you, it had to be you. I wandered around and finally found the somebody who could make me be true, could make me be blue, or even be glad just to be sad, thinking of you. Some others I've seen might never be mean, might never be cross or try to be boss, but they wouldn't do. For nobody else gave me a thrill. With all your faults, I love you still. It had to be you, wonderful you. It had to be you. Never be cross, tried to be boss, they wouldn't do. For nobody else gave me a deal. With all your faults, I love you still. Baby, it had to be you, wonderful you, had to be you.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com. Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:56. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and it is Wednesday, September 11th, a day that we, that'll really go down in the history books.
Yeah.
And we will
Our
always
Pearl Harbor.
remember. Yeah, exactly, Pete. You're absolutely right. That other voice you'll hear is Pete Coles, the chairman of the board and the man behind the glass, behind the board, here at Studio 120. So, Pete, couple of other announcements. So I just want to get this word out there that we are taking applications for this year's Senior Citizen Property Tax Work-Off Program. The application period is the month of September. It ends on September 26th. So if you're interested in participating in this program, you need to get an application to me. And in order to do that, you probably need to call me and request the application packet. So the way this program works is this is an opportunity for older adults in the city. You have to be 60 or older to participate in what you do is you do volunteer work for the city of Westfield, and in exchange, you get up to $500 off of your property taxes for the following year. So there are some income guidelines as well. If you are single, if it's a single household, the gross income, including your Social Security, is $37,470. And if you're a married couple, the gross income, including Social Security, is $50,730. So if you fall within those guidelines and you're 60 or older and you own your own home and you pay property taxes to the city, you're probably going to be eligible for this program. You can request an application packet by calling me at the Senior Center at 562-6435. I will mail you the packet. You complete the application, which the application itself is only 3 pages, and it's pretty basic information, name, address, phone number, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Your past work experience so that we kind of know what the skills you're bringing to the table. Most of our volunteers work in the public schools, but we also have volunteers in some of the other city departments as well as the animal shelter. So those are all options, and you actually fill out on the application what your preference is. And if you do work in one of the schools, you can fill out what your preference is in terms of which school you'd like to work at, and we do our very best to get you where you want to be placed. You also fill out on the application when you're available. So it's up to you. You can work. You can volunteer Wednesday afternoons, or Thursday mornings or whatever it is. You put that on the application and we'll work around that schedule. But you only have until September 26th, and you do have to have an interview with me. It's about a 15-minute interview. So once you get the application and fill it out, you call me and you say, I'm ready to go. Let's schedule my interview. I have lots of blocks of time that I'm doing my interviews. And you come in and we do that. And then we get you started on your volunteer work sometime in October.
There you go.
And you only have to do a total of 40 hours between now and the end of June. So it really just comes out to a couple of hours a week.
That's easy.
Yeah. And as my seniors who have participated, I'll tell you, I have a lot of my seniors who participated in past years who wanted, who do it every year. And I do prioritize those who have never done it before.
Yeah,
So if
give
we
everybody a shot
ended
at
up, right, exactly, because we only have slots for a certain number of people.
Yep.
Anyway, if you're interested, give me a call, 562-6435. And we were talking about the election and the upcoming election before, Pete. And Karen Fannion over in the city clerk's office is looking for election workers. The poll workers?
Sure, yeah.
People who sign you in and those kinds of things. So that is a paid position. You are actually considered a city employee and you get paid for it. It's just a couple of days. Obviously, we have the preliminary election coming up and then our regular election on November 5th.
Yep.
So there are some training sessions. If you're interested, you can talk to Marissa Colon over at City Hall in the clerk's office. Her number is 572-6266. Or you can stop by the clerk's office over at City Hall. They're doing 2 training sessions that are coming up. One will be Monday, September 16th at 10 in the morning, and the other is Tuesday, September 17th at 6 at night. I think you only have to attend one, but I think Karen just wanted to give you, an option for those who might be working part-time or whatever, and if it's easier to come at night. So election poll workers, and I do have the specifics of this at the Senior Center. We have it on our TAC board in the vestibule, and I also have copies that people can take home because Marissa did a great job of kind of outlining the various positions and what the duties are, because there are about 5 different positions that they're looking for. So if you're interested in that, by all means, contact Marissa Colon over in the city clerk's office. That's up on the 2nd floor at City Hall. So we have some doings around the city, Pete.
Okay.
But you know what? I just realized it is 7:01. So let's take our top of the hour break. When we come back, we'll talk about Music Fest coming up. We have a concert tomorrow on the Green.
Yes, we do.
Do a couple of announcements about some other things. And then Joe Rouse should be with us a little bit later in the second hour. It is 7:02. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. We will be back.
Programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Noble Hospital, a brand new name for a Westfield institution which is improving the health of our community every day with quality and compassion. Noble Hospital and Bay State Health, better together.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:05. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and we are broadcasting live from Westfield Technical Academy, Studio 120. And Pete Coles is the chairman of the board and behind the glass. And good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
On this, it's kind of a solemn day, you know, September 11th. I mean, you don't really celebrate September 11th. You just kind of remember. It's a day of remembrance. I guess that's probably the best way to put it.
By the way, I have a new nickname called Keeper of the Control Room.
I like that one. Did you come up with that, or did Bob come up with that?
No, it just popped into my brain.
You came up with that. The keeper of the control room.
Yes.
Well, you know, it's so funny because we always used to say in when we were broadcasting from Westfield State University that it was, you know, the man behind the board, the man at the boards, or the man behind the boards. But now you're the man behind the glass because you're
glass.
You know, sort of in that other room over there.
Yep.
But it works. Yeah, the keeper of the controls. I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so doings around the city of Westfield, you know, just because it's the fall. I mean, I guess people think, oh, there's nothing to do in Westfield now that it's the fall, but you would be wrong if you thought that. Okay, let's start with tomorrow night. So tomorrow night we have Music Fest Westfield. So remember we had to postpone the we had to reschedule the original
I was bummed because I was going to
concert.
miss it because that was when I was down in Columbia with my son's graduation from boot camp.
I was going to miss it as well, and I can't remember why, but there was something else. I don't know whether we had it, and I don't think we had an event at the Senior Center, but there was something else that I had to be there for. So anyway, it's tomorrow night. They rescheduled the first concert till tomorrow night, Thursday, September 12th. It is Hitting the Note is the name of the band, and they capture the live experience of the Allman Brothers Band. Now, the opening act, Pete, I'm sitting here reading this. This was in the Westfield News. So the opening act is Andy Has a Band. And I'm trying to, is that his real name? Or
I believe
did
it
he
is, yeah.
Has a Band? If you look at it, it's like Has a Band. It's just the way it sounds.
I believe that's his name, yeah.
That really cracked me up.
Because he's local. Somebody said they know him or something like that.
He is local. And and at first I read it, I said, oh, okay, Andy Has a Band. And then I went, really? Has a Band? Did he make that name up? That's pretty cool. Yeah. So anyway, the concert starts at 6:30, but I don't know, does he start at 6:30 or yes, he starts at 6:30, and then the band I imagine starts at 7.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So right on our green, and you know, it's going to be free.
It's that big free word that the superintendent loves.
Free, absolutely, we love free. So it's a free, and I assume that they will have what they usually have. They have different
vendors around the
vendors, and they have food, so you can purchase food, you can purchase drinks, you can purchase beer.
Yep.
So so good times tomorrow night on the green. Hopefully the weather. I know it's going to be in the 70s. It's not going to be as warm as today, and they're saying maybe
slight chance
some
of a
shower in the afternoon.
20% though, so what?
Oh, that's not a big deal. 20%, we can live with 20%. That's not going to do anything. Don't worry about it. Come on down to the green tomorrow night. And then September 22nd, which is a Sunday, this is my Stanley Park segment because, you know, Stanley Park also has stuff going on all the time. They're doing a program called Fantastic Fungi with Pioneer Valley Mycological Association.
Micrological.
They are spelling it MYCOLOGICAL. Mycological. I'm thinking fungi?
Maybe.
Mushrooms? I don't know. Anyway, it's going to be on September 22nd, which is a Sunday, from 1 to 3 p.m. This slow-paced walk on the trails of Stanley Park will focus on the many mushrooms we may find in the early fall.
No kidding. Mycology, the scientific study of fungi.
There you go. There it is. And members of the Pioneer Valley Mycological Association will discuss the interconnected relationships between fungi and forests, mushroom characteristics and features, and the role of individuals. Necessary. There you go. Is that hysterical or what?
Oh boy.
But you know what? You know what though? It's so funny, Pete, because sometimes you look at these things and you think, really? And then you go and they're so fascinating.
I believe that.
You know? And you are Mr. Trivia guy, so you're always fascinated in that kind of
Shriners
stuff, right?
Trivia is coming up, but I don't think they've nailed down a date.
They did, because I saw a flyer for it somewhere on, like, hanging up on a doorway and I went, oh my gosh, I can't remember where I saw that now.
I believe it was originally supposed to be the 21st.
Okay.
And then I believe Shaker Farms had somebody that needed to get in there that day, so they got bumped to the 28th, I think.
Okay. All right. Well,
That's the last I heard, but I haven't seen anything official from Sue Austin.
okay.
So
Well, we'll follow up on that because usually by now we're advertising all
Correct,
over the
yes,
place.
exactly.
All right, and you know what else is coming up, Pete? Which this date has changed too because this used to happen in November. Now it's happening in October. That is the Friends of the Westfield Athenaeum is doing their children and young adult toy and book sale.
okay.
All proceeds support the programs and services of the Athenaeum. And the date this year the dates will be Friday, October 18th and Saturday, October 19th.
Okay.
It used to be in November, closer to the holidays. So this one is a little different too. So the toy and book sale will be held in the Westfield Athenaeum downstairs in the Lang Auditorium. But here's why I'm announcing this now, even though it's not for another month.
Okay.
If you have any gently used, very clean toys, games, puzzles, sporting goods, CDs, DVDs, children's or young adult books, if you would like to donate those, the Athenaeum would be glad to take them off your hands. What they cannot accept are plush animals, so no stuffed animals or baby furniture. Okay, none of that. And you can drop your donations off at the Athenaeum during their normal business hours any days between September 16th, which is Monday, and October 12th. And they would be happy to take those for their sale. And the other thing, this was actually on a separate flyer, the other thing that they're looking for is used vintage costume jewelry, because they're also going to be doing a costume jewelry sale at the Pumpkin Fest on October 19th. So if you have any clean, unbroken costume vintage jewelry that you would like to donate for the sale, they would be willing to take that off your hands as well. And again, you can drop off donations for the costume jewelry sale at the library main circulation desk anytime during regular library hours, same date, September 16th, anytime through October 11th. So that is the vintage, and if you have any used vintage costume jewelry, but please nothing that's broken. They don't want to have to repair it. Also coming up on September 28th, Westfield State University, and they have been advertising heavily for this event. It's a night out with the legends. It's a bit to benefit the UCC Second Church, starring Charlie Lask, Lisa Carter, Nicole Fuller, and Ray Gomet. So those folks do their impersonations of Cher, Elvis, and Lady Gaga. The doors will open at 5:30. The show starts at 7 o'clock. Tickets at the door are $25 for adults, $15 for students and seniors. Advanced tickets are $20 for adults and only $10 for students and seniors, but the advanced ticket sale will end on the 14th, which I believe is today's the 11th, 12th, 13th, so it's this Saturday. So if you want advanced tickets for that, a little bit of a discount, you need to get them by Saturday. You can call 250-0685 or 572-5105 for your tickets. This is a live concert, so it should be a lot of fun. And I do have the poster for this up on the tack board at the Senior Center, so if you need those numbers again. We also have some cards with that information also at the Senior Center in the Fireside Lounge. So we have plenty of information about this, what are they calling it? A night out with the legends. So that's on September 28th. Also want to remind folks that the farmers market continues, even though the summer's over. The farmers market will continue through October 10th. Every Thursday from noon to 6 p.m.
Yep.
At the Episcopal Church of the Atonement.
I may sneak over there and get some donuts before I go to
right.
the concert in the Green.
I know, right? Oh, yeah, that's right, because it'll be tomorrow. Yeah, for the
Yeah.
Green. So, and you know, they'll start transitioning into some of their other kinds of fruits
Now
and
it's the squashes,
vegetables.
the
Yeah,
fall
we're getting
squashes
into
and stuff.
squash and
Yep.
zucchini and so forth. So all that's happening, lots going on in the city. My guest just walked in the door, so we have to play his theme song.
Yep.
This is Happiness is a Thing Called Joe by Peggy Lee as we welcome Joe Rouse from the City Health Department.
Skies ain't gonna cloud no more. The crops ain't gonna fail. Caught out a rainbow by the tail, a certain man with eyes that shine, voodooed up this heart of mine. It seems like happiness is just a thing called joy. He's got a smile that makes the lilacs want to grow. He's got a way that makes the angels heave a sigh when they see little Joe passing by. Sometimes the cabin's gloomy and the table's bare, but when he kisses me, it's Christmas everywhere. Troubles fly away and life is easy go. Does he love me good? That's all I need to know. Seems like happiness is just a thing called Joe. Little Joe. Little Joe. Little Joe.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Comcast and Xfinity.com, offering Xfinity TV, Internet, home phone, and home security services. Information on all that Xfinity has to offer in the Westfield area is available online at Xfinity.com.
Support for community radio on WSKB provided by Westfield Electroplating. Employing over 140 skilled platers, painters, and technicians, Westfield Electroplating was founded in 1946 and was the first company in the country to achieve National Aerospace and Defense Contractor Program accreditation, proudly maintaining that status for over a decade. Westfield Electroplating provides over 50 quality finishes to meet your corrosion, cosmetic, or performance needs. On the web at www.westfieldplating.com or 413-568-3716. Westfield Electroplating, putting the finishing touches on technology.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:20. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. And I'm in studio this morning with the keeper of the controls. Pete, do I have that right? Is that right? What did you come up with?
Keeper of the control room.
Oh, keeper of the control room. There you go. Keeper
Yes.
of the control room. Pete Coles, the man behind the glass, the chairman of the board. He's got lots of titles.
Yes, yes.
And Joe Rouse, director of public health for the city of Westfield Health
He's
Department.
got lots of titles, too.
He does. Joe, yeah, we wear many hats.
Most of them not good.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
There we go.
There it is. You got it?
You got it?
Okay, there it is. There it is.
Good morning.
Say good morning. So, Joe, lots of things going on in the health department.
In Healthland, as you call it.
In
Yeah,
Healthland,
that's right.
I know. In
There is.
Healthland, as I call it. Lots of
Yeah.
things going on in Healthland.
And things that aren't so healthy.
And things that are not so healthy. So we have some issues. So we have a variety of topics that we're going to talk about this morning. We're going to talk about vaping, and we're going to talk about the EEE virus, and we're going to talk about some algae something. And I mentioned flu shots before, but we'll also kind of talk about that because we're doing signups for that. So where would you like to get started on this?
Well, okay, so all three, I just said to you, I'm going to be like the Grim Reaper this morning because all three of the things that I wanted to talk about not only are in the news a lot right now, but they are all potential fatality issues.
Yes. So serious issues. Yeah,
Very serious
absolutely.
issues. So might as well start with the vaping. As we do in our department, we take a lot of direction from the CDC, the state health department, the EPA, and the DEP at the state level.
Okay, so you just listed blank, blank, blank. So
Blank, blank,
remind
blank.
our listeners
So-
what
I know
all
one
those
of them.
initials stand
All right,
for.
So
Pop
DPH
quiz.
at the state level, our two mother agencies are the Department of Public Health
Okay.
and the Department of Environmental Protection.
Okay.
So those are
that's EPA,
Commonwealth
right, and DPH.
agencies. Yep.
Okay.
Then at the federal level, we take a lot of direction from Center for Disease Control
Yep.
and the Environmental Protection Agency.
Okay.
So those
All
are
right.
our two mother federal agencies, which then trickle back down through the state and to
Okay.
us.
All right.
So we take a lot of direction from them as far as what their research is, prevailing, whatever the most prevalent health issues of the day are. And right now, the Center for Disease Control and the State Department of Public Health put out an advisory and a warning on the vaping products because they're finding that there has been some serious lung infections and even a few deaths that they are now associating with vaping.
Which is really interesting because when this whole vaping thing started, sort of way back when, it was kind of advertised as a safe alternative to smoking.
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole thing. It was like, you can do this because this is safe and you don't have to worry about it. You're not
Right.
going to get lung cancer and so forth. And since then, a lot has come out in at least in mainstream media about, well, wait a minute, not so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they finding, Joe, that's not so safe? I mean,
Right now, they're doing the research on the components and what comprises whether it's e-liquid or nicotine salts or whatever it is that's in the product.
whatever the ingredients are.
Yeah, whatever it is that eventually gets quote unquote combusted.
Okay.
And turned into vapor. So it also has to do with like the particle size of the vapor being smaller than traditional tobacco smoke.
Okay.
That is able to kind of infiltrate deeper regions of the lungs than
Wow.
regular tobacco.
Yeah.
So kind of like what's the Star Trek thing where they say going what is
Going
it?
beyond whatever.
Where
yeah.
no man has gone.
Where
No
no
man
man
has
has
gone
gone
before.
before.
That's
Yeah, right.
Kind of the vape
Yeah.
stuff is infiltrating areas that are causing infections.
Okay.
They don't know exactly right now what the specific cause is, so they're analyzing a bunch of different components that most of the products have in common, and some of it is oil. Mm-hmm. There's a certain type of oil that's used in the e-liquids that they're finding in there that really shouldn't be there. Mm-hmm. But it's all still preliminary. But the point is that you're right. We've come to a point where we thought this could potentially be a really good nicotine replacement therapy for people,
Right.
to now actually being
Worse.
yeah,
Right.
potentially
well, in a different
worse,
way. Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
Yeah, potentially worse, but definitely bad.
Yeah.
So when the CDC comes out with a warning to say to people, stop vaping,
Yes.
that means that there has been some definitive conclusion to the use of that product as it exists right now.
Right. And what were the states that just was it Michigan? There were 2 states that just came out with, and what is that? No vape. I can't remember now what the law was. Was it an age related thing? If you were you couldn't sell vaping materials to somebody under the age of 18 or something.
Right.
Was that
yeah. A lot of and
deal with
even
it?
some cities and towns in Massachusetts have adopted an adult-only point of sale for any of the e-cigarettes or vaping products.
Right.
And even has gone as far as to do like flavored tobacco as well, to lump that into the same category. But the jury is still out on that, literally, whether or not it's going to be considered to be legal. I know 5 communities in the state have adopted where basically they say you can only sell these products in an establishment that's 21 or older.
Okay.
So no kids are allowed in there at all.
Yeah. Okay.
So that would be kind of the equivalent to a bar in the sense
Right.
that, you get if you're going into a bar at 10 o'clock at night, you better be 21.
Yes.
But it's going to
right.
be the same thing for these, whether they call them vape shops, smoke shops, whatever.
Yep.
But 5 communities in Massachusetts that have adopted this policy already are now being sued by Cumberland Farms.
Because they want to be able to sell it.
Because they want to be able to sell it. And what they and Cumberland Farms now arguably might have a good point with this, because they're saying you're creating a sort of monopoly with this. So we want to make sure that we're not being excluded just because what you decide on the local level. We want to make sure we exercise all of our legal rights to say, what if we created a 21 and older area in our store?
Right. Okay.
Rather than
gotcha.
just being a separate store entirely.
And what if they're selling products from reputable sources that aren't putting in dangerous chemicals and things like that?
That's
you know what I mean?
And that was my thing. It's so not all vaping materials, like not all cigarettes are created equal, right? I mean, there are different ingredients in different brands. Is that kind
That's
of
true, yeah, and different ways that the nicotine gets delivered. So it's
like the Wild West.
Yeah, it is. It's like the Wild West. It's
one of the things that
complicated.
the CDC said recently in their advisory was, I don't know why there would be street vape stuff, but they say,
in New York City, I bet you there is.
Yeah, like don't buy anything off the street. Like make sure you're buying it from what can be considered a reputable, like an established,
like a company
place.
Yeah,
like
right. Yeah.
Well, you can buy stuff online from China in the vaping category.
True,
oh, I bet, and God knows what's
God
in
knows
it.
what parts are in it, or things like that. It's okay if you buy a speaker like that, but you buy something in your body.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it's a little bit alarming right now because of the fact that we have an agency that has officially weighed in on this and declared that it is a legitimate health concern, and that people have, in their estimation, have died from this. So you think back to when and the kids especially are. You really got to watch in the high school.
Problem with kids.
It is, and they get addicted. It's all nicotine. There's nicotine in all of it.
Yep.
Except for some e-liquids, there's zero nicotine, but that's not really what's going around that product right now. It's mostly the e-cigarette, certain brands.
They developed a better delivery system than the tobacco farmers. I mean, seriously.
That's right. But unfortunately, it's actually more lethal acutely.
Well, that's it. Exactly. So tobacco, like cigarette smoking, tobacco smoking, that's going to be over a period of time. It's not generally you're going to smoke a pack of cigarettes and drop dead from lung cancer, but or emphysema or COPD. But that's it's longitudinal. It's over time. Whereas I think with vaping, what they're finding is you can suddenly you be gone.
You get an infection from whatever the stuff, and so you could maybe be using the product incorrectly. You could be using something in it that you're not supposed to be putting in it.
Yep.
Modifying it somehow. That's a concern as well. But even just right off the shelf right now, they're advising people, lay low on the vaping until we get this figured out.
Right.
So,
and, I think the other thing, too, Joe, is that it's really been targeted toward youth. I mean, and for those of you who don't know, I attended a training on this about a year ago, I guess, at one of the MCOA conferences, and I have to say, I was shocked at what I learned. I didn't really know anything about it. I don't smoke. I've never smoked. I don't vape. I don't do any of that stuff. But she had this whole variety of the presenter had this whole variety of bubblegum vape and gummy bear vape, and I mean it's just all these flavors that are so appealing to young people and middle school and high school, and the numbers of the percentage of these kids that are trying it is just astronomical. So they're not kids that are trying to, my thought initially was, okay, so somebody's trying to quit smoking, so they go to vape, because people that I knew who were smokers, that's what they were doing. When it first came out, minus I think all the flavors, it was, well, I want to quit smoking. This is really hard, so I'm vaping, and the idea was to wean myself off. But with young kids, that's not where they are. It's like, this is really great, and boy, this tastes like whatever. And so, yeah, let's do this. And it's safe. Everybody thought, oh, this is safe. It's because it was billed as a safe alternative to smoking, safer.
That's right. And we usually hold off on making any sort of a statement at the local level until we get that advisory or the direction from the mother agencies.
Right.
And we've deferred any sort of rulings and judgment at the Board of Health because of lack of that type of information.
Okay.
So this now is putting us in a position where we have to concur.
Yeah, now you kind of have to do something.
So anyway, at our next board meeting on the Thursday the 19th, we're going to have a big vaping discussion with the board. It's not a public hearing or anything, but it is going to be a discussion on the board to decide where we want to go with this.
Yeah.
Do we want to try to do the adult only establishments? Do we want to not have it at all in the city? Do we want to take that risk of going that way with it? Or do we want to kind of further regulate it through permitting, different types of permitting processes? So,
Joe, let me ask you, you were saying that there are 5 communities in the Commonwealth who are creating that, sort of more guidelines around where and when. Are any of those in Western Massachusetts, or are all those in the eastern part of the state?
Yeah, central and eastern part of the state.
So nothing. Yeah. So we don't really have a template for Western Mass yet. And
but
although I'm sure other communities are, looking at what their options are as well.
Yeah, and the other thing too is the product in and of itself now is kind of red flagged, but you also have to take into consideration you have businesses in this city that have put a lot of their money into building these places without any bad intention.
Yes.
And now you kind of have to take that into consideration. I mean, we're a Board of Health. We really shouldn't care.
Yes.
But just as a matter of being a responsible citizen and person.
Understood. Yeah.
It's like some of these stores have created a whole separate section for this stuff and put a lot of money into it and are doing it right and are doing it responsibly and not selling to minors. So what do you do with them? Do you just put them right out of business? And is there enough evidence to say you could do that? Are you going to set yourself up for a lawsuit? See, these are all the kinds of things that we have to discuss at the next meeting. And also kind of maybe even let this one play out with the 5 communities that are trying to have it in adult-only establishments. Find out if that passes through the court and a precedent is set. And then we can kind of, use their regulations as a model for Westfield. So,
do you think, Joe, that at any point that the state would come up with any kind of regulation too? I mean, is that another thing to kind of consider? Is that what is the state going to come out with, and then work around that? How does that work? Has that happened in the past with any?
It has, yeah, with a lot with the tobacco stuff. So. Okay. We hesitate to wait for the state only because there's just such a longer process in getting regulatory stuff through.
Okay.
And at the local level, it's a lot quicker for us to enact it. So one of the things that we did is, I think it was a couple years ago, we went up to, you have to be 21 or older to buy tobacco in Westfield, even though the state law was 18.
Okay.
So we went up to 21. Shortly thereafter, maybe even within 6 months, the state went up to 21.
Okay. All right.
But so that it happens all the time. It depends on the urgency of the situation. I think in this case, we probably don't want to wait for the state. although I'm 99% sure that they will weigh in on this.
I
at
was
some
thinking,
point.
do you get a sense as a director of a health department on where the state is trending? I mean, do you kind of get a heads up on where they're leaning ahead of time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of health organizations that we belong to. Mass health officers is one of them, and they kind of keep their eye on what's going on with
so
the
they're kind of keeping the
legislature.
membership informed of where things are headed.
They certainly communicate with the legislators and get some feedback on it. So we get a little bit of a heads up, but you never know. And like I said, the time is a drag too. So we want to try and stay on top of it.
All right. So the first topic that we're talking about is vaping. My guest this morning is Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health for the City of Westfield. We're going to take a short break and listen to the Monotones sing it's kind of their one-hit wonder of Book of Love in honor of the birthday of Charles Patrick. We'll be back.
I wonder who wrote the Book of Love? Tell me, who wrote the Book of Love? I've got to know the answer. Was it someone from above? I wonder who wrote the Book of Love? I love you, darling, baby, you know I do. But I've got to see this Book of Love, find out why it's true. I wonder who wrote the Book of Love? Chapter 1 says the lover, you love her with all your heart. Chapter 2, you tell her, you never, ever gonna part. In chapter 3, remember the meaning of romance. In chapter 4, you break up, but you give her just one more chance. Oh, I wonder who wrote the Book of Love? Baby, I love you, yes I do. Well, it says so in this Book of Love, ours is the one that's true. I wonder who wrote the Book of Love? Chapter 1 says the lover, you love her with all your heart. Chapter 2, you tell her, you never, ever gonna part. In chapter 3, remember the meaning of romance. In chapter 4, you break up, but you give her just one more chance. Oh, I wonder who wrote the Book of Love? Baby, I love you, yes I do. Well, it says so in this Book of Love, ours is the one that's true. Wonder who wrote the Book of Love? I wonder who wrote the Book of Love?
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:39. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in studio this morning with Pete Coles, the keeper of the control room. Did I get that right,
yes.
Pete? The keeper of the control room, the chairman of the board, the man behind the glass, Pete Coles. He keeps us all, scheduled and on target. And my guest this morning is Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health for the Health Department for the City of Westfield. Good morning again, Joe.
Good morning.
Joe joins us on the second Wednesday of every month, the second hour, and we talk about a variety of topics that are kind of hot topics in his world, Healthland, as I call it. So we've been discussing the topic of vaping. One of the things that I was asking Joe off air, and I do want to kind of mention this, is that first time that somebody experiences vaping, is that a pleasant experience or not a pleasant experience? Because for those who have tried smoking, it's not so much of a pleasant experience the first time you try it.
Right.
And you were saying what, Joe? It kind of depends on
depending on the
what they're
product
vaping,
and,
I guess.
and what it's derived from. But from what I've heard and what I know is that there are certain types of devices that are commonly used now that it has a nicotine salt in it rather than just being all liquid. That can tend to be a little bit abrasive initially and continually.
Yeah.
So it's not unlike cigarettes in the sense that there's going to be irritation involved in the throat. People are going to cough. Ugh. Essentially, if you think about it, you're inhaling vapor.
Yes.
That you're drowning your lungs
yes.
in a sense. So it is not. I can't imagine anybody would proclaim, especially on first account, that it's a pleasant experience.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. All right, so the health department's going to be looking at that at their next meeting, discussing
Big
that,
discussion.
sort of trying to figure that out. And my guess is that there will be, some public comment. On sort of how, not that you have it at that meeting, but I think that as this issue becomes more, mainstream media kind of thing, that people will begin to weigh in on it. And I do know, just from what I'm hearing out on the street, I mean, parents are really understanding that it's like an epidemic.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'd be curious to know what the percentages of, like students at the high school, at, St. Mary's, at Technical Academy, our Westfield high schools, what percentage of students have tried vaping and what percentage of students are doing it on a regular basis?
Yeah, we do have those
numbers.
numbers.
Is going high.
We do have those. Maybe next time I come in, we'll follow up with it because
this
is a good topic to kind of keep going with because things are changing and evolving every day.
Yeah, including at the national level.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. So we'll kind of follow this along, and next time that you're here, you can kind of let us know how your board. And how many members do you have on the health board?
Three members on the board of health.
Okay, yeah. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what their take is on this.
Okay.
So we have a couple of other topics that are hot. I'm going to ask you about this algae thing because that is the one of the topics that we're discussing. That's the one that I really know the least about.
Okay.
So talk about, and I know you said you've posted an advisory. So what did you post and what's going on?
So this year we have had in the area, not just Westfield, but in the region, we've had an exceptionally large bloom of this blue-green algae.
Okay.
And it's because of weather conditions and just, one of those kind of cyclical things that happen. But we do have a couple areas in the city that have been identified to be what is kind of, I don't want to say poisonous, but it is.
Okay. All right.
It's cyanobacteria, and there's one public area where there's a real big problem with it, and then there's a private area where they've already posted advisories.
Okay.
At the Westfield Sportsman's Club, they had a problem in their pond. So the advisory basically just says, and it's kind of common sense too, algae bloom in progress. Please keep people and pets out of the water.
Okay.
As long as this is posted. So, and one of the problems that we found was this year is the concentration of this cyanobacteria is especially harmful to dogs. So people really want to, and that's how it all started. Dogs were starting to get sick. Dogs were dying. I believe it was either Southampton. I think it was Southampton. They had a big issue with it there.
Okay.
And East Hampton as well. But it is just pretty much generally everywhere this year. So.
This is just in water?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So
and
so basically
what they call it blue-green algae. It's green.
Okay.
All right. So if you go to a body of water
Yep.
and you see a film of green,
Okay.
especially along the coastline, because it's a surface sort of thing, and the wind will blow it,
Okay.
in whatever direction it's going,
Yep.
but it'll blow it from the center of the water over to the coastline. So if you see that, I can't imagine why anybody would let themselves or their dog jump into a pond of green scum.
Yeah.
But if you are so inclined, think twice.
Okay.
And don't do it.
Don't do that.
And
Right.
I mean, maybe they just think it's not a problem. It's
Right,
a
right,
natural
right,
thing.
yeah,
It's
right.
just
Well, that's
especially-
it. It's green and it's near water, so you figure, well, it's natural, it's organic.
Right.
Right.
And if your
Okay.
dog does happen to enter into one of these areas, be very careful about watching them. It's a quick onset of symptoms.
Really?
It is something that it can be fatal, like I said.
Wow.
If the dog seems sick, correlate that in your mind with what did you just do?
Yeah.
You were just exposed to a body of water that had a green film on the top. Know that that means you need to get to your vet immediately. So
Okay.
it's very important.
And that part of it, I mean, I could see, dog goes running and, ooh, there's water and jumps in and, you're, as the owner, it's like, no, don't go in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I could kind of see that happening. Less so for a human being, especially at this
Yeah,
stage
that's
of the
pretty
game,
gross.
I guess.
But
yeah, it
we
is.
just want to really be careful with the dogs. And like I said, keep note of if your dog's lethargic or vomiting or just,
Okay.
not right all together. You know your dog. You know
Yes,
if it's
right,
sick
right,
or
right.
not.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
And then correlate that to whether or not you have that animals had exposure to an area like
Okay.
that. And then, like I said, get them right to the vet.
So you mentioned the Sportsman Club. Where else has this been posted, or where else did you post the advisory, Joe? Just so people on the
I
do know.
posted the advisory like 7 times at Armbrook, which is coincidentally down behind the dog park.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that is coincidental.
Yeah, that's not good. But I don't think people routinely go from the dog park down to the water.
Yep.
It's kind of a little bit away. But there's a huge bloom down there. I posted it many times, and people keep stealing the signs. So now I got to keep going back like every day.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Okay.
But yeah, Armbrook, which is also, if you live up off the Southampton Road area, you know where Armbrook is. It's down at the end of Kittredge Drive,
Okay.
Sunset Drive, and people do go down there with their dogs
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that's a big area to watch out for. Powder Mill Brook is kind of up from that a little bit more,
Okay.
so that's another area. And that's pretty much it for now. I hope that if anybody notices anything like that in another, and I don't know about Hamden Ponds. I know they did close,
Okay.
but they generally do close at least once a year anyway. They get a lot of contamination from bird waterfowl. But if you do see that in any, even if it's out in the woods somewhere, body of water with the stuff, you can please call me and I'll go down and take a look at it and
Just
we can
report it to the Department of
identify
Health.
it.
And is that is this algae? Is this something that will it die off when after we get a freeze, or
Yeah.
how does that work?
Yeah, it's the same thing as all the other vegetation. It's just
Okay.
kind of a surface thing, but it will definitely die off. You just got to let it run its course and then
Okay.
hope that next year the weather conditions aren't such that it's going to duplicate. So,
Okay.
But yeah, the Sportsman's Club, they were really eager to say, how do we get rid of this stuff? And I can't advocate for any inorganic chemical treatment.
Yeah.
I mean, what's worse? You're going to want to put chemicals in your water.
Right.
And the other thing is too, in those areas, and I don't think I had this discussion with the Sportsman's Club yet though, but one of the reasons that could also be attributed to the bloom is an excessive amount of fertilizers and stuff that as they make your grass grow, they also help out other organisms to grow as well. So runoff from that in excessive amount could happen as
That
well.
was the problem that they had in Florida, in Martin County, Lake Okeechobee. All the farmers out there, anytime they did a water release and it came into the system where all the boat slips where the water wasn't moving, that's where the blooms would happen.
Right.
And it would
Okay.
stink. It actually does stink, the blue-green algae.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
You
that-
can smell
yeah.
it's got a pretty putrid smell.
Especially once it starts to die off, it's even worse.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
And that was the problem with the boat owners. It was getting on the boats and in their slips and everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, it was every time they did a release from Lake Okeechobee and it came down the system with all the fertilizer and it just bloomed everything.
Yep.
Wow.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. So something to be aware of.
Yeah, but again, like I said, it's a lot of common sense. The posting of the advisory doesn't say, poison, keep away, or anything like that. It's just like, obviously, don't jump in green water, and don't let your dog jump in green water, please.
Green slimy water is not good.
No.
That's the takeaway on that.
There you
All right, it is 7:50. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. We're going to listen to the Buckingham singing "Kind of a Drag" in honor of the birthday of Dennis Tufano. And when we come back, Joe and I are going to talk about Triple E. That's been in the news lately, so we will be back.
Kind of a drag when your baby don't love you. Kind of a drag when you know she's been untrue. Oh, listen to what I gotta say. Girl, I still love you. I'll always love you. Anyway. Kind of a drag when your baby says goodbye. Kind of a drag when you feel like you wanna cry. Oh, girl, even though you made me feel blue, I still love you. I'll always love you. Anyway. Oh, listen to what I gotta say. Girl, I still love you. I'll always love you. Anyway.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley, with convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut. Visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:53. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, September 11th. It's a day of remembrance today. And as Pete mentioned, there will be ceremonies throughout the city.
Yes.
I believe the one at the fire department it's usually at 9 o'clock. So I'm going to guess that's when that is
I
at
think
the
they
Westfield Fire
started
Department.
right
Yes.
around the time of the first
Which would have
collision.
been like 8:46,
Yeah.
right? Was the first collision. So if you're interested, I think you can go on down there. My guest this morning is Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health for the City of Westfield. So good morning again, Joe.
Hello.
So we've covered vaping, and we have covered this blue-green algae, which is
Right.
really green.
It's really green.
But the other topic that I wanted to cover is the Triple E, because I'm seeing that on the local news. Like every time I turn on, Channel 22 and watch my 10 o'clock news at night. So first of all, what is Do you know what Triple-E stands for?
Eastern equine encephalitis.
Okay, and which is not a good thing to have.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
So talk to us about that. Why is it in the news now?
Well,
what's your involvement with this?
So, of all the three things that we talk about, this is huge because, vaping might cause lung infections and have fatalities. Blue-green algae or cyanobacteria might cause fatalities in pets and rarely in humans. The Eastern equine encephalitis is awful, horrible, lethal to 1/3 of the people that get it.
Okay.
It's mosquito-borne.
All right.
And it's in the news because we've had, I think, in Massachusetts, 7 confirmed cases already. Not that that's a huge amount, but it's enough to, and I think maybe 1 fatality already.
Yep.
So,
it's enough to make everybody cautious.
Well, because of the
sure.
fact that if you get it, you are, like I said, 1/3 of the people that get it results in death.
Yep.
The other 2/3 live with some neurologic condition or some other effect of the disease for the rest of their life, most likely.
Yeah.
And there is no treatment.
Right. And, it's interesting that you mentioned that, Joe, because that came out on the news last night, and I don't think I realized that. And when they talked about, that some, paralysis and, some of the other things, brain damage, and I thought, oh, my goodness, this is pretty scary.
Yeah. And the thing that is most significant about it as from a public health perspective is this is the type of thing that we should be talking about nonstop all day, every day, because it's totally preventable.
Okay.
And I'll tell you so essentially what it is it's a virus, okay? And it can affect, the encephalitis part will affect your brain.
Your brain.
It's bad news. It's West Nile virus is one thing. Triple-E is a totally different thing. And in our area right now, we're fortunate that we are in a low-risk area, Westfield, Southwick, low risk.
Okay.
Not too far to the east of us, there's a moderate risk area. To the north of us, there's a high-risk area. In the eastern part and central part of the state, there's a few critical areas.
Wow.
In the critical areas, the state has decided that, in essence, is an emergency.
Okay.
All bets are off as far as environmental issues and concerns. In critical areas, critical risk areas, they will be doing aerial spraying for mosquitoes.
Yep.
And nobody can do anything about it because we've risen to that level where, we used to have a mosquito spraying program in Westfield 25, 30 years ago. It met with great resistance from the public because the city was essentially just going around spraying wherever randomly. Not really knowing what, we didn't have kind of the same data that we have now and ways of obtaining it.
Okay.
So it was really just like a random spray thing or trying to control mosquitoes. But, people were like, hey, you're putting this chemicals in my garden and everything.
Yes.
Come on. Why?
I got it. Sure.
But when you're faced with, okay, people can either, you're in a critical risk area or a high risk area for obtaining this disease. I don't think anybody can say, when you look at the risk reward part of it, just like it is in medicine and medication all the time, you have to do it.
Yeah.
I don't remember the mosquitoes ever being this bad when I was a kid because we used to spray.
Right.
Right.
I mean, I lived near a swamp in Springfield, and they did aerial spraying over the swamp every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one is one people really, really need to take that personal protection step for. I mean, it's so easy to just cover yourself, put the DEET-based insect repellent on, stay out, don't be outside in, the dawn and dusk times of day.
When mosquitoes are the worst.
And at this time of the year, it's really not, we're not talking about it's 90 degrees, although today's going to be a little warm.
Yeah.
But, cover your skin, wear long sleeves, wear pants, and when you're going to be outside engaging in activities. The personal protection stuff right now can't be emphasized enough because it's the only thing until we get to the critical and high risk area where they'll do aerial spraying.
Right.
We don't want that.
Right. We're not there. We don't want to get there.
And we don't want to get there.
Yeah.
So protect yourself. And I've gotten several calls because it is in the media now about, well, when's Westfield going to spray and what are you doing? And we don't make that call. That's totally on the state. And quite honestly, being either low or moderate risk, even maybe if we were high risk, I might still not advocate for the spraying. But when we get into the critical areas, and if anybody wants to know what those areas are, they can go on the State Department of Public Health website, and there's a map that shows the areas as up to date as yesterday.
Okay. All right.
So
yeah. So there you go. So just a couple of closing thoughts while I have Joe here. So first of all, Joe, I had mentioned before, I want to mention it again. Joe will be at the Senior Center on September 26th to do our Lunch and Learn. This month's Lunch and Learn is on Westfield Recycling. So I've promised the seniors that in addition to your presentation and just kind of talking about what you can, and they're really, I have to say, the senior, I think this is going to be very, very well attended because when I told them about it, of course it's in our newsletter, people were really enthusiastic. I actually had somebody call yesterday and say, when can I get my tickets for the Lunch and Learn, on the recycling thing? And the tickets actually go on sale tomorrow at 9:00 for lunch that day. But people are really concerned about making sure. They said, we understand now that there's stuff we're not supposed to be putting into our recycle barrel, but we don't know what it is. So I think that's really great. And I told them that we'll have a couple of tables with some samples of things that you should put in, but I think more importantly, so start collecting the samples of things that shouldn't go in your recycle bin, so that, because I think if people have a visual, that'll really help them to remember, oh yeah, that can't go in recycling.
Right.
That has to go into our regular trash bin. So that will be on September 26th. And then of course, Joe, you and your team and Deb Mulvena and Cassie and your nurses will be at the Senior Center October 1st and 2nd doing flu shots. And I announced this first hour, please, if you are interested in a flu shot, it's free, but you do have to sign up in advance. You do have to bring your insurance card, but please sign up because our slots are filling up. They're filling up fast. They always do. Flu shot season, they always do. So it's 562-6435 if you'd like to have a flu shot. You just have to call the Senior Center. We'll give you the available times. The MRC usually MRC is there, the Medical Reserve Corps, to help fill out paperwork and kind of hold your hand through the process if you need that. And then this year, Joe, there's and I just want to end quickly on this note. There's what's the vaccine? There's another vaccine.
We're going to be giving the high dose.
The high dose vaccine, right? Okay, so that's
very, very much recommended this year for seniors. So we'll have maybe a couple low dose but quadrivalent
regular doses. Okay.
Just in case somebody is really saying they don't want the high dose.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend going against the recommendations right now, which are get the high dose. Especially 65 and older.
Okay. All right. So that is, again, that number is 562-6435 at the Senior Center, or just stop by at the front desk and you can sign up. So, Joe, this has been great. Thank you. It is 8:02. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. As we close out this September 11th, again, this is a day of remembrance. So take a few minutes to remember, maybe a little prayer, a little silence, whatever works for you. And Joe, your parting words as always.
Stay healthy, my friends.
We will see you next week.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Noble Hospital, a brand new name for a Westfield institution which is improving the health of our community every day with quality and compassion. Noble Hospital and Bay State Health.